Warning. The following program is a satirical look at Indigenous news, politics, and current events. Jesse from the Beachcombers is advised.
Anin, bonjour, buenos dias. Welcome to the Laughing Drum, my friends. Television so profoundly Indigenous. Chief Joseph has us on speed dial. We've got an exciting show tonight. The Red Power panel is here to take truth, slap it silly, and send it on its way. But before we get to that, let's check out what's been happening on the news. We begin in papal news, where bishops from the Catholic Church in Canada attempted to clarify what the Pope meant when he said he wouldn't apologize for the horrors of residential schools.
They came to Parliament trying to offer clarity. Instead, leaders of the Catholic Church in Canada gave mixed messages about whether the Pope is open to offering an apology to residential school survivors.
If you place Pope Francis among Indigenous people and he hears these horrible stories, what do you think he's going to say?
So is the Pope going to apologize or won't he? It's kind of like the bishops are saying, get the Pope in a room, he's going to swing his holy arms, and if any part of you should walk into that, it means he's sorry. I don't think it works that way. Or maybe it does at the Vatican, I don't know. And it's a royal boy. Prince William and the Duchess of Cambridge welcomed a baby boy.
Here we go, here we go, here we go. Here they come. She looks absolutely gorgeous, doesn't she? As always. Baby wrapped up warm.
Congratulations. Congratulations from all of us.
The royal couple are considering naming the child after a legendary First Nations leader, Chief Joseph Boyden. And singer Shania Twain is in hot water after saying she would have voted for Trump if she was an American.
She later apologized for the remarks. Twain made the comments in an interview with The Guardian that was published over the weekend. She told the British newspaper, "Do you want straight or polite? I would have voted for a feeling that is transparent." After receiving backlash, Twain took to Twitter to explain herself. The Canadian says she wasn't prepared for the question and was trying to express how Trump had connected with a certain segment of the U.S. population.
So I guess Shania won't be renaming her songs "Man, I Feel Like a Bigot" and "His MAGA Hat Impresses Me Much," after all. In other news, I apparently give a shit about what Shania Twain thinks. And finally, last Friday was 420.
This is the Love Buds Love Cannon at the Cannabis 420 Lovely.
Yes, April 20th, a day when white people go out and smoke weed in public, brazenly getting away with what would get Indigenous and black folk jailed any other day of the year. Well, since thousands of people were out smoking weed and feeling euphoric, we at the Laughing Drum figured there was no better time than to go out and ask people how they feel about reconciliation. Check this out.
What? Oh, this guy wants to toke up too? Oh, okay, this guy wants to get it too.
You think there's a role for cannabis in reconciliation?
I don't even know how to answer that.
What does reconciliation mean?
What do you mean by that?
Is there a role for cannabis in reconciliation?
I don't know what reconciliation is.
Are these political questions?
Do you know by any chance which Indigenous nations originally lived on this land?
Not the specific name. I go to University of Winnipeg, so we kind of learn a little bit about that, but haven't taken a specific course yet to learn about those things.
Huh. That's a bit of a tough one.
What is reconciliation?
The reconciliation of the Indigenous peoples in the government?
We don't know anything about this.
It would bring a tear to my eye, but I'm Ojibwe and we're pretty slow people. We have to take a short break, but when we come back, the Red Power panel will be here. Don't go away. Did you know we've got a podcast?
Don't lie.
It's true. Yes, now you can listen to The Laughing Drum on your smartphone, tablet, or even your Walkman stereo. Subscribe to The Laughing Drum podcast on iTunes and Google Play right now. Welcome back to The Laughing Drum, television so exquisitely indigenous we taste like bannock, moose meat, and cold hard truth. And speaking of truth, the Red Power panel is here and they are ready to take truth by the neck and shake it until it starts making sense. They are the Buffy St. Marie of comedy, Alyssa Kickson, lip hair aficionado Sasha Mark, and the brownest Elvis impersonator this side of Graceland, Jerry the Big Bear Baird. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to start in Toronto, as we often do. Toronto-based Now magazine found itself the target of fierce criticism online after unveiling an image of a bear in a weed leaf headdress on its cover for an article on decolonizing cannabis. This is the headline. This is the image here. It came to light soon after that the artist is actually a Cree dude who gave an apology of sorts. So Red Power panel here. You want to see it?
Very nice.
Is this offensive, given that we know it's an Indigenous artist? Who wants to start?
No, I don't think it's offensive at all. No, it doesn't offend me because it's something that comes from the ground and, you know, we've been using it for a long time. So I feel it's actually completely appropriate, especially considering the topic, decolonizing cannabis, which a lot of Indigenous people are fighting for that right.
But Adam Beach was angered by this.
Adam Beach, like, settle down, like, get back in your cupboard.
The man is a national treasure, I'm sorry. But
get back in your cupboard. Whoops, wrong movie, never mind.
Sasha, what do you think?
I don't think his intentions were to offend, but, you know, he did offend people, and I think there's value in that, too. I think at the end of the day, maybe on the other side of the argument too is like Indigenous people, like who is digesting this magazine? Like, is it us, or is it going to be other people who aren't affiliated with our culture, and then they see this? So I think
that was what people were saying, was that the image could be misconstrued as...
It could be misconstrued. So I think that, you know, people can definitely see it that way. I was like, my millennial brain just like shut down. I was like, I can't compute.
Jerry, I know you prefer cocaine, but what do you make of this?
You know what? I have no problem with it. He's an artist, and he's expressing himself. And you know, does a bear smoke up in the woods? Probably. You know, and a bear snuffles around in the grass and the weeds and the trees anyway. So he's going to pop up every now and then with something on his hair. You know, so it doesn't offend me at all. And people that are criticizing him, find something else to do. There's a pipeline that you have to worry about these days, and Trump, and who knows what.
Okay, so I guess I kind of know the answer here, but can even Indigenous artists mess around with what are often seen as stereotypical images?
Well, you know, I'll venture into this, because this artist was looking at, you know, the bear, you know, and good for him. But I am an Aboriginal artist as well, and I'm working on a new portrait, and it's of one of the most iconic figures in the white society, and that's Queen Elizabeth.
Wow!
And here's the Queen. And she's so happy that we've legalized marijuana in the colonies that she's wearing a crown of pot upon her head.
That's
there
good.
it is. It's a nice...
that is both impressive and horrifying.
It's a work in progress at this time.
That is what my
look at her face.
I know. It's like, she's on acid too, you know?
So there you go. So I mean, it's all in the interpretation of the artist, and you know, like, do what you need to do.
She's like Queen Elizabeth or like Queen Mary?
I don't know. It could be.
You know?
It could be Freddie Mercury from Queen. It looks like Beavis or Butthead.
It looks a bit like a character from The Walking Dead.
Well,
I like how you signed it too.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be worth a lot of money someday.
Someday.
Okay, so I want to read you the apology of the artist. So it turns out that the artist's name is Jason Carter. He's a sculptor and illustrator from the Little Cree First Nation in northern Alberta. He says, I understand that art and social responsibility should go hand in hand, and if some find this approach offensive, I sincerely apologize. I totally understand how people would be disappointed or offended by it, but I approach all of my work with humor and optimism. And I think, now I know how you guys feel, but this was his apology.
Yeah.
To a lot of people who were offended. What do you think of that? Is that an apology, or is that a sorry, that you're offended?
I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think, like, especially for artists, as you know, a comedian, I often delve into stereotypes all the time about our culture, about Canada, about, you know, what it's like to live amongst caucasity. But, you know, if someone was offended by my stand-up material, I would probably have the same type of response where it's like, I'm sorry how you could find this offensive, but sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think on that end, I think his intention was to bring light and humor to something. And I think that also needs to be taken note of too. And I think, like, you know, I also, comedian, I've been in similar situations too, where it's like, you know, people would come up to me like, Sasha, your joke was offensive, it was not funny, and, you know, it made me feel this way, and I'm like, you're drunk, so leave me alone. You know, like, it's like, get out.
Okay, let's shift gears here for a second. Enough about bears and headdresses. Let's talk about pipelines.
Okay.
Kinder Morgan's Trans Mountain Pipeline has pitted pretty much everybody against each other, but still raises the question. So let's look at the root issue here. Should Indigenous communities even ever say yes to pipelines and other large natural resources projects? Should they? Why or why not?
I think, well, I was listening to one chief, and he said it's an economic opportunity now. We should be able to take advantage of it. Hopefully, you know, some of the funds will go towards our communities, go towards housing and healthcare, and let's take this opportunity and run with it. And I thought, you know what, I agree with that. Yeah. If the money goes to the First Nations and we actually use it wisely. It's like me when I get my paycheck. We're going to use it wisely, right? No, we're not. Cocaine.
Sasha?
I feel like there's a lot of talk about pipelining, and there's, ooh.
Uh-oh.
Now it's,
all this pipeline business here.
She's triggered. No, a lot of pipelining, but there's also a lot of pipe whining, you know? It's, I'm kind of over this. I think at the end of the day, you know, a lot of people are still expecting to, at the expense of Indigenous communities, for everybody else to benefit off of these pipelines too. So it's like, why do we keep expecting to use, you know, expect things from Indigenous communities? Like, build one through Calgary. Who gives a right now? Like, honestly, it's like at the end of the day, you're probably going to like benefit more from yourself anyways rather than the Indigenous communities. Yeah. So it's difficult for me to sit with that idea. So yeah.
Melissa, now that you've composed yourself, you were so outraged by this.
It gets me heated and emotional. It's a heavy topic. I mean, yeah, right now, it would benefit financially the First Nations, but I mean environmentally, you know, like in 20, 30 years, we're not going to really have much of land to live on, so what's the point?
Well, here's my thing.
Yep.
Go ahead and build your pipeline. Make it as safe as you want to. But what they're talking about now is that there's going to be a 9.0 megaquake to hit the west coast of Canada. When that happens, you can have all the safety valves and people looking at your infrared pictures of your pipeline, but it's going to be gone. Vancouver's going to be flattened. A tsunami wave about a mile high is going to come in, and your pipeline is going to wash in all over, and no one's going to care about the pipeline at that point because there won't be anybody left to look after the pipeline.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was a warning from Jerry the Big Bear Barrett, an apocalyptic warning.
Well, that's what's going to happen.
What if they made it out of rubber? What if they made it out of rubber? Like
no,
a
here's
hose,
my.
hose?
I've given this quite a lot of thought. And here's the other thing. You don't go through the mountains. You could go under the mountains because the world governments are making super tunnels under the earth right now to protect us from a meteor, an asteroid, or an apocalyptic event. So you can build a superhighway under the mountains, or you can go north from Edmonton, go north to the community in Nunavut of Kugluktuk. It's a population of 1,500. You build a superhighway on top, a superhighway to that community, and then you have your super icebreaker tankers come in, and that super port, that's your port of export for oil. out through Nunavut.
Are you investing in this project? You seem
I'm
to-
high.
Yes.
I'm high as a kite right now. 420, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, let's think of a pipeline that we can all get behind. If you could build a pipeline and put any substance in it anywhere in the world, what would it be?
I'd build a hash pipeline.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Speaking of 420.
Yeah. Canada would chill the F out, man. Like, if we had a hash pipeline, like, that, and if it spills, like, oh.
Leaving a wake of euphoria and happiness. Be hard to clean up.
Problem solved.
Sasha, pipeline, anything in the world?
I said the term pipe wine, and I was like, oh, pipe wine. Like, what if it's just like alcohol in there, and like you just like sit there and you're like red wine pipeline. It's like just a big box. I think we could all use a little bit of a pipe wine.
My pipeline would be filled with all your thoughts and prayers.
Yes,
a pipeline churning out thoughts and prayers wherever it needs, wherever you need it. If you're feeling a little down, just go up to the pipeline and crack it open and.
Yeah.
Or you could put smudge in there. Smoke, some tobacco and some sage and some cedar, and then you just maybe if you need some healing, you could. No, it's a thought.
On that sacred thought, we have to take a short break, but when we come back, the Red Power panel will continue to tear truth a new one. Don't go away.
Did you know we got the social medias?
Don't lie.
It's true. Like the Laughing Drum on Facebook and follow us on Twitter right now.
All right, welcome back to the Laughing Drum, my precious little laughing drumlets. I'm here with the Red Power panel, and they are raring to go. All right, our next topic is more of an overarching theme in news overall. Reconciliation, or as I like to call it, reconciliation. Huh? 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 Anyways, you guys seem as good a crowd as any to ask. Are we actually reconciling? Is this happening right now?
I think that more people are more aware of it. So in a way, there is action in reconciliation happening. Are we at reconciliation? We're so far away from it still. Yeah. So that's how my standpoint
But you believe we're in the process of reconciling right now?
We're so hit and miss. Like we make steps and then we take 4 steps back, and then like it's like the worst game of like snakes and ladders. Like it's like we're you keep rolling in the snakes.
That's a great quote for reconciliation. Reconciliation. We're Alyssa?
I think that we are at the point where we know the word exists, but I don't think the rest of Canada has caught up to how to use it. So we're good with using the word. People are saying it, just not doing it.
It's just sitting there.
It's
a tool just lying there.
It's like a coffee table magazine. Like nobody actually reads it; they just look at it, and they're like, "Oh, look, you have reconciliation. Oh, so good. I've been meaning to get that for my home. Not yet, though. I need avocados."
Jerry, what do you think?
Reconciliation, I think it's people mean well, and they hear the word and they read some of the articles in the Globe and Mail, and then they move on with their day. Reconciliation, if this place, APTN, is still standing in the year 3000, of course the place is going to be run by robots at that point. And if the Laughing Drum is still on the air, the robots will be asking, welcome to the show. Does reconciliation exist in Canada? Will it ever exist? That's what's going to happen 1,000 years from now.
Robotic res dogs.
Yeah, robotic res dogs we'll have to pick up after them. But no, I think we have a long, long way to go.
Well, I've asked this on this show before. I'm going to ask it again. Define reconciliation. What does it mean to you, Jerry?
Well, like I say, to me, it just is something that that we as Indigenous people, we want to have happen, and we want to be able to hold our heads up high and walk down the street and be proud of our culture and of all people who live on Turtle Island. Never mind just Canada. So I think that we hold the definition near and dear to our heart, what we want, but I don't think that the rest of Canada is on board, because we have so many immigrants and refugees coming to this country that they're more concerned with that right now. Someday you're going to have to get reconciliation with all the immigrants that are coming to Canada. You know, it's going to go on forever, folks.
Sasha?
I just want to be able to go down the street and walk down it and, you know, be okay with people thinking that I don't sell drugs and people knowing that I do sell drugs, you know, just joking. No, it's like I want to be, and for me, reconciliation is me being able to be comfortable in an environment, whether that is me, you know, taking a cab, or me going into like a store and feeling secure in that, or even just like walking outside during the day or during the night. To me, that's what reconciliation looks like for me and for like hopefully everybody else too.
I think the mustache has more to do with you not being able to sell.
Like I can't go to the daycares anymore. They're like, get out.
It's like a cop. Alyssa,
you look like an arc.
Define reconciliation. What is reconciliation to you?
Reconciliation is equity, it's equality, it's being able to see, you know, our people portrayed in the media in an equal manner that mainstream people are portrayed in the media. It's being able to, you know, go to a comedy festival in a city that's made up of a high percentage population of Aboriginal people and see more than 3 comedians who are Indigenous. It's it's going shopping with your kids and not being followed around constantly, or not having your cart checked. It is, you know, going through customs and not being brought aside. I feel like that's what reconciliation is. If everyone, we are all treaty people, so like...
But some of us are more treatier than others.
Some of us are more treaty than others.
Alyssa, is one side working harder than the other right now? Or is any side even actually working towards this, do you think?
I'm pretty exhausted from just like all this free labor that I provide for white people. So I'd say,
But it's also not like just like free labor too, because it's like they're getting results. Be like, oh, we're saving the Indigenous community, or we're including them by getting your free work. So they're benefiting off of you, too. So it's like
you provide a valuable service to the white savior community,
and they're benefiting off of it. So.
You know, that's true. It just means like, wow, like so much pain medication, hash pipeline. Yeah.
We got to get that hash.
Yeah, we got to get that.
All right, guys. I think that's all the time we have for now. I think reconciliation accomplished, if anything. I think.
You think?
I think that's all. Thanks to the Red Power panel for coming on and making us laugh and think, and then laugh some more, and then think a little more. And thanks to all of you for checking us out. We'll see you back here next Tuesday.
You have that joint?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.